Hey guys, it's Brian with Retired at 40. My life has been really crazy lately. We finally got the house ready. It's completely done, which means I'm actually going to be retired at 40 finally. That's going to leave me lots of time to make more videos. I'm going to try and start doing videos a couple times a week now. And I've been sitting on a ton of ideas that I've been wanting to do for a really long time, and now I have the time to do it. So we're going to kick it off today with hard-boiled eggs, freeze-dried. If you've never done hard-boiled eggs in an Instant Pot, it just is a complete game changer, I think. It changes the texture of the hard-boiled egg, so it's a little bit softer, but it cooks them to perfection every single time. I know if you cook a hard-boiled egg on the stove, it's kind of a guessing game. The hard-boiled egg either gets overdone or it's not done enough, and you have to put them back in. But with the Instant Pot, 100% every time. So I got about 6 dozen eggs because I wasn't sure how many I would actually need to fill up all of the trays. But if these turn out great, you can't ever have enough freeze-dried eggs in my opinion. So the Facebook group has been growing extremely fast, just as fast as ever. We're nearing 3,000 members. Once we hit 3,000 members, I'm gonna do a giveaway just to kind of celebrate. But I also get lots of great ideas, lots of great tips, and lots of great video content ideas. And the hard-boiled eggs are a great example of that. So you're gonna need your steam tray, and that just keeps this so the eggs are gonna sit up above the water. You're gonna add 1 cup of water to the Instant Pot. And you can do up to 16 eggs at a time. You're gonna kinda wanna organize them so they have as much space and surface area as you possibly can. And in order to get perfect hard-boiled eggs every time, you're just gonna wanna go by the rule of the quadruple 5. The first 5 is 5 minutes to come up to pressure, and then the second 5 is 5 minutes of cook time. And then the third 5 is 5 minutes of natural release. And then a lot of people skip this last 5, which I think is almost the most important, and that is 5 minutes in a cold water bath. So let's make sure your Instant Pot is sealed, and we're gonna go to 5 minutes of cook time, high pressure. Catch you in 5. So while we're waiting for this, take a minute to subscribe and click the notifications bell to get future notifications of future videos that come out. On this channel, we do some frugal living, some food preservation and freeze drying, and you get to join me and my family on our journey to retirement at the age of 40. If you like the video, make sure you click the thumbs up until it turns blue, and that really helps out with the YouTube algorithm, and that really helps get this video out to the people who want to see this kind of video. Okay, so the 5 minutes is up. We're just gonna turn it off, and then we're gonna natural release for 5 minutes before we release all the pressure. All right, so after our 5 minutes is up, we're gonna release all of our pressure. And then I'm gonna take something that we can make a water bath in, and I'm gonna actually put some ice in here. So these are gonna be extremely hot. I use my oven glove that I use for grilling. It's just a silicone glove. But I'm gonna fill up our ice bath full of eggs, and then we're gonna fill up the bath with water over the top of them. And the great thing about this is when you do the water bath, the eggs will pretty much just peel themselves. I know it's kind of a lot of times when you do hard-boiled eggs, it's a pain to get these shells off. And if you do the water bath and you stay with the 5-5-5-5 method, it'll really just, it makes this whole process super easy, especially if you're gonna do a whole bunch of these at one time. So I'm gonna go ahead and let those chill, haha, and work on my next 16 while I'm letting those chill out. This is where it gets really cool because really all you have to do is just kind of roll it like this, and these shells will just completely just fall off. Ooh. Another trick that I've learned, if you do them over the oven, or if you have trouble on one of them, you take a spoon, and you can actually, the spoon is concave, and you can get right around that shell and just kind of loosen it up. So here's where you're going to see the big difference. And they're just perfect every time. It's a perfect hard-boiled egg. Not overcooked, not undercooked. They're all the same. They're completely uniform. It doesn't matter what the size is. It doesn't matter if they're brown eggs, white eggs. They're perfect every time. So there's 16 eggs. I guess it looks like 18 eggs will fit on one tray. Which means if you have a medium, that works out to a nice, even 6 dozen eggs. Here's our third tray. We're gonna take these out to the freezer. All right, there we got 3 trays of eggs going in the freezer, but we still have 1 left. So I got a cool idea. Oh, what happened to the inside of these? There they are. Let's make some deviled eggs. So I'm gonna do this with 10 eggs, which will make 20 deviled eggs. So you need to take all of the yolk part of the eggs, put them in a mixing bowl. And then you're gonna need some paprika, of course, some onion powder, Dijon mustard, some mayonnaise, some homemade hot sauce. Oh, don't you wish you had the recipe for that? Well, you do, because it's down in the description. You're also gonna need just a little bit of pickle juice. Okay, so normally you would put the paprika on the top, but since we're making this all in one mixture, I would say just I don't know, a teaspoon, maybe 2 teaspoons of paprika. We're gonna do 5 tablespoons of mayonnaise. We're gonna do just under 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. Then we're just gonna do a teaspoon of that pickle juice, half a teaspoon of hot sauce, but I'm gonna do a teaspoon just to give it a little extra kick. And then just a little bit of onion powder. And then a little bit of salt and pepper. How come every time I try and just do a little bit of pepper, I dump the whole thing in there? All right, then you're just gonna mix this all up. This is gonna make our deviled egg mixture. You're gonna smash those yolks up. And I've been freeze drying long enough, and I've done enough batches and enough similar things too, like enough similar things like this, that I know it's not going to rehydrate the way you want it to unless you freeze dry this mixture separate and then add it into it later. So if this turns out the way I want it to, it'll make a nice powder. And even if there's still some chunks left in your mixture, like right now, you can powder it after it's freeze dried and get all those chunks out of there. I was gonna put it into some bowls, but it's so thick that I think I'm just gonna go right under the tray with it. Let's put this out in the freezer, and then after this is frozen, I'll start the freeze dry. All right, let's get this thing going. And I just noticed as I was trying to shut my door, it's really, really tight because I tried to adjust it last time. And it seems like it's either too loose or too tight. If anyone's got any tips on that, I'd love to hear it in the comments section. Right now, this is just gonna have to do though. Now that is weird. These shells almost look like they're transparent. The deep freeze smells real eggy. All right, well hopefully those shells are not a bad sign. Otherwise I'm gonna have a whole lot of hard-boiled eggs that aren't worth anything. But I'll see you in a little while. All right, we're all done. I added a little bit of time so I could wake up at a normal time this morning. We're at 45 hours and 30 minutes. So here are all of the hard-boiled eggs. They look like they did really well. They're very light and they shrunk quite a bit. I'm hoping that the shells will stay together when we rehydrate them. I might have to rehydrate them a couple different ways. Here's our deviled eggs. And this stuff should actually be really good. It's down into a powder, so like I said, you can get all of those chunks out if we need to. We'll put them into a Ziploc bag and pipe them back into here, just like you would if you were making them from scratch. And then last, we've got those 5 whole eggs. So I think the best way to rehydrate these is probably just right back into the Instant Pot, so I'm gonna try that first. So rehydrating these is gonna be extremely tricky because they're very, very delicate. But I do have this little gizmo here that goes in the Instant Pot. It kind of just allows a slow amount of steam to come from the bottom side as opposed to the rack that I normally use, which is like this. I think if they were sitting on that normal rack, they'd have a tendency just to fall right through because they did shrink up quite a bit, so I don't know if they're gonna puff back up once they're rehydrated. But there's only one way to find out. So I'm gonna put these back in and we're gonna do exactly what we did the first time when we cooked them. 5 minutes on high pressure, and then we're gonna do 5 minutes in natural release. And hopefully we'll have some freeze-dried hard-boiled eggs. While we're waiting for that, I threw the deviled egg powder into a bag and I smashed it all up so it's nice and even, and then I'll just add some of the hot water from the eggs when those are done. Oh no. They're brown. That sucks. Well, they obviously got very, very burned, so I'm gonna try something else. Well, I'm thinking the only way to bring these back is just a really slow rehydration. So first thing I'm gonna do is just let them soak in some water first, and I wanna see what kind of result we get with just that. Oh no, it's not looking good. I'm gonna try and boil this now and see what happens. Boiling it made it even worse. And I threw in one of the shells because I was gonna try and make a deviled egg. But on the plus side, the yolks still seem to be okay. It's really just the white that's kind of funky. And our deviled egg mixture, it seems to be fine. So let's see if we can make a little deviled egg. Try that out. Oh, the mixture's right on. The texture of the egg white is just kind of weird. It's real rubbery, and it's like flaky and rubbery at the same time. I think the freezing of the egg white, that's what kills it. It's definitely that intense cold. And I was gonna try a couple different ways to rehydrate this. I was thinking maybe you could just, if you can bring it back real slow, but I think the egg white, I think it's just hopeless. I was wondering what would happen if you blended it all up into a powder. So I guess my plans of having a deviled egg rehydrated on a picnic are kind of out the window now. But I am making a freeze-dried dog food video that requires quite a few eggs, 20 eggs. And I'm thinking if I can powder these, I can just add them to that recipe. Then I don't have to scramble 20 eggs. Oh, look at that, that's perfect. And think about how much nutrition is in there. Doesn't take up much space. So I was kind of curious to see what would happen if you rehydrated that powder, and it makes kind of a paste. See how it tastes. It's actually not too bad. I'm sure there's something you could do with this. You could probably add it to a bagel. You probably spread it on some toast or put it on a bagel, or add it in some freeze-dried dog food. If you have any ideas, put it in the comments section. But all in all, I mean, it was a total fail on the hard-boiled eggs, but we were able to reconstitute the insides for the deviled eggs, so I guess that's sort of a win. And Murphy gets some extra egg powder for his dog food. Well, in the meantime, this is Retired at 40. Remember to live life simple. We'll catch you next week. Maybe a fried hard-boiled egg with some deviled egg filling on it. It's actually pretty good.